A Christian event called Battle for Canada has quickly turned into quite the battle for religious freedom. You're not going to want to miss this report.
The very elected officials that we vote into power, who we pay with our tax dollars, are now part of an agenda and an ideology that will turn around and punish us for the very way that we think. Even though this was not an anti-abortion event, though I unashamedly do have pro-life values, what they have stated to us, to Quebecers, and really to all of Canada, if you have a difference of opinion, if you think differently, we will pull your right to rent a public space that are paid by your tax dollars.
Drea Humphrey here, bringing you some disturbing news out of Quebec. It's about the cancellation of a Christian event that's scheduled to take place at the end of June. Right now, you're seeing Pastor Art Lucier on the screen. He's the lead pastor of Harvest Ministries, which is based out of Kelowna and has been hosting Battles for Canada, also known as Faith, Fire, Freedom events across Canada. And they were supposed to do the same at the end of June at the Quebec Convention Center until they saw this article from the CBC that, believe it or not, is what informed them their event had been canceled. Why? Well, apparently the Minister of Tourism, Caroline Proulx, decided that the event was a pro-life event. And if you believe unborn babies should have rights and not be killed, well, I guess you don't belong in a Quebec facility. Or do you? Today, I bring you a sit-down interview with Pastor Art as well as his counsel, who's representing him at no charge through the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Like I said, you're not going to want to miss this report.
And joining us now is two very key people to this battle of religious freedom in Canada, Pastor Art Lucier, as well as Sam Bachand. Thank you for being on Rebel News.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Honored.
Now, this story is absolutely crazy. We've already updated some of our readers on this. Now we're showing the viewers. I'm going to start with you, Pastor Art. What was going through your mind when you got this CBC article and found out that the event had been canceled?
I was dismayed. I was in a little bit of shock. Our ministry had been hundreds of thousands of dollars and a full 5 months into the planning stages of uniting with the Lebel province of Quebec for an incredible unity reconciliation gathering at the end of June. We had contracts signed, we had hotels booked, we had everything in order. And actually, I was in Granby, Quebec, on the morning of June 2nd, when somebody sent me a CBC article shocking me to tell me that the government of Quebec had forced or pressured the CEO of the De Congrès Convention Center, which we had a contract with since February, forcing him to cancel our contract. Thus, we had nowhere to meet later on in the month. I was a little stunned and shocked, and we were there to rally the troops and do prayer meetings. And I was for a moment saying, "It's over. This is all for nothing."
Yeah, I was just as shocked to find out. People had sent me the story, said, Drea, did you see this? I was shocked in particular when you say government. It looks like the Minister of Tourism had lobbied, demanded that this event not happen, saying that Quebec is predominantly pro-choice place and labeled the event as a pro-life one. What's your address to that?
My address, my statement to that is that is a lie. It's a fabricated story. It was never an anti-abortion event, as the front page of the CBC article from June 2nd stated. No, they did not do their homework. They did not ask me anything. I had no CBC reporters get a hold of me, nor the government, to ask what it was. Rather, they just labeled it as such. So they're wrong.
Now, this is Quebec. They are okay with taxpayer dollars being used for something very controversial like drag queen story times in libraries. But even if this was a pro-life event and you had signed a contract, which you did, what does the law say about this? I'm going to go to you now, Sam, who is helping, thank you for that, through the Justice Center of Constitutional Freedoms, helping Harvest Ministries at no cost to them. What is going on here? What does the law say when you signed a contract about this?
Look, basically, we're talking the Centre des Congrès is a crown corporation, okay? And the state, the Quebec state cannot discriminate on the basis of opinion, religion. It cannot infringe in such a way the freedom of expression of an entity such as Harvest Ministry. So that's pretty clear in the law. And that includes, non-discrimination in the provisions of services generally available to the public, for instance. So here, the government cannot start picking and choosing on the basis of one's opinions and fundamental values, whether they'll offer or not rental of a room in a convention center. So we're not talking about, offering rental of a minister's office when he's away. This is a convention center again. So no, obviously it's illegal. It's also a very heavy-handed gesture by the Minister of Tourism that reminds me of what Maurice Duplessis had done back in the 50s to a famous Jehovah's Witness. So he didn't like the fact that Mr. Roncarelli was paying bail for arrested Jehovah's Witnesses. So Duplessis, who was the all-powerful premier of the province back then, took the phone and called the president of the board of alcoholic beverages, and he said, pull Mr. Roncarelli's license. So here, Minister Proulx already obviously did basically the same thing. She said, well, I don't agree with the Harvest Ministry's values and positions. So I take the phone, I call the CEO of Centre des Congrès, and I tell him, well, you terminate the contract right now. Same story,
It is. It's very similar, very concerning. And I'm thankful that the JCCF has stepped in here. You guys have issued a demand letter. Now, by the time people see this, maybe it's past the date of calling for action, which is June 8th. But tell us a little bit about what that letter is, what its purpose is for.
Look, basically, we are denouncing the illegal, abusive, and unconstitutional character of what the minister and the Centre des Congrès did. And we're telling them, look, this is very prejudicial. We are giving you the opportunity to rectify the situation and just reverse the decision before it's too late. So they have until the 8th at noon to reverse their decision and reinstate the contract. It's as simple as that. And if they don't, they will get sued and they will lose, most probably. Honestly, again, just go back to the Roncarelli versus Duplessis case, Supreme Court, 1959. As a lawyer, I cannot say a case is a slam dunk, but this, is eerily reminiscent of one of the most famous cases in public, in the history of Canadian public law.
And yet here we are, as we're filming this, June 7th, and at the moment, they still have not said, oops, sorry, you're welcome back. I'm going to throw to you now, Pastor Art, just so people know you can still buy tickets. We're, of course, going to link the source for how you can do that, which is on their website. I believe it's called battleforcanada.ca. But tell us what's going to happen, whether or not you get back into this venue. And what do you think this means for people of the Christian faith?
Let's go with that last question. What that means for people of the Christian faith, whether you're in Quebec or Canada. Where the slope that we are sliding down now simply is this. The very elected officials that we vote into power, who we pay with our tax dollars, are now part of an agenda and an ideology that will turn around and punish us for the very way that we think. Even though this was not an anti-abortion event, though I unashamedly do have pro-life values, what they have stated to us, to Quebecers, and really to all of Canada. If you have a difference of opinion, if you think differently, we will pull your right to rent a public space that are paid by your tax dollars. So what's happening is eventually they'll come after all public spaces and they'll be the thought police. You think differently. You have a difference of opinion of how to raise your kids. The state doesn't like the way you think. We're not going to allow you in public places, maybe not into hospitals, maybe not onto public transportation. That's where this is going. This is wrong. If anyone here at our ministry, if you have a difference of opinion and a different thought, so be it. But what they're doing, Dre, is they're jumping the fence and they're coming for our rights. You're not allowed to have a difference of thought or opinion. Otherwise, we will punish you and we will not allow you into the public square, even simply to worship the Lord or have a reconciliation event. It should be very disconcerting to us and to Quebecers, to all Canadians.
Punish you is right. Can you tell us a little bit about the financial hit or displacement that you would approximately be seeing from this?
You know, I haven't really tallied too much up. I just know this, though. Since January, our office staff of around 7 here have been working most days to get all the I's dotted, T's crossed. Over 250,000, just our staff to see this event come into pass. Never mind hotels or trips. I was just in Granby. We've done many trips, flights. We've had, many endless hours of our staff. And if this event is canceled and we're not allowed to recoup, and to take offerings and love offerings, so on and so forth. We also bought a bus for this to get our staff and all of our stuff, our sound system there. We bought a trailer, additional sound equipment. I don't want to throw a number at it, but it's the biggest venture that we've ever done, and we're poised to lose some of our investment.
Well, we will be following this story every step of the way. Hopefully they do the right thing. If not, I'm glad you're being represented through the JCCF. Thank you both for being on Rebel News.
Thank you, Dre.
It's our pleasure. Thank you, Dre. Thank you, Rebel News. Thank you, Sam.
Well, I wish I had good news for you at the end of this report, but I do not. I spoke with Pastor Art and his counsel, who you just saw in this report, after that 12 p.m. deadline on June 8th. And believe it or not, neither the center or the minister directly responded to them again. Again, they had to find out through the state's preferred media that the Minister of Tourism is doubling down with her stance, and the event as it stands at the Quebec Conference Centre has been cancelled. Pastor Art Lucier is, of course, disheartened by the information and says they may be forced to cancel the event entirely if something doesn't come through right away. We're going to keep you up to date on what happens next. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. If you appreciate that, unlike the state-backed CBC, we reached out to Pastor Art Lucier so you could hear from him directly, as well as his counsel with the JCCF, then perhaps consider supporting our journalism, which is completely independent from government interests, but also completely reliable on you to keep running. You can do so in a fun way by going to rebelnewsstore.com and using coupon code DREA10 there to save on some fun Rebel patriotic gear. We appreciate your support.